welcome to episode 5. We've got some more questions for today, which is good. More questions the merrier. First question comes from Big Black Bear 7 under the comment section of the last episode. How would you structure training when trying to lose weight? Well, when trying to lose weight, I pretty much structure my training the exact same way I would when not losing weight. I would just train a bit less intensely. So for example, if you're running a program or some training cycles that require a true 1 RM from which the basic training loads off, just run smaller numbers. So if your true max is 220, take 5 or 10 kilos off it, so you'd be running off at 215 or 210 max. That way you'll set yourself up to succeed. We'll still try and train to get better from session to session, but if you're looking to lose a lot of weight and have been strength training for a while, you can pretty much expect your progress to slow considerably or stall or even go backwards. The secret to not going backwards or not stalling out too much is not to be too aggressive in your training or your conditioning, or your diet for that matter. And then as an analogy to illustrate the point, if you imagine you have a bank account, and in that bank account, the balance of the account is your recovery. Food and sleep are your recovery income, and exercise is what you spend your recovery on. With a limited income from food, you're going to struggle to keep the balance high. Especially if you're drawing a lot of your recovery in the form of intense weights and cardio sessions. I would personally prioritise strength when cutting and would perform minimal with no conditioning. And the conditioning I would engage in while cutting weight would just be in the form of walks, like a 2-mile distance walk to and from work, because it's easy. I'm not too ambitious in my strength training either, and I let my diet do the work with regards to fat loss. And that is my preference, of course. If you want to lose a lot of weight fast and you're not necessarily fussed on retaining strength during your cut, then things like high intensity cardio training, CrossFit, circuit training will aid in your weight loss. But that's only if you want to really prioritise getting leaner. Now we're getting into shape. So I hope that answers your question. Next question from Harrison on Propane Fitness. What are your plans for competing? I'm planning on doing the Scottish Unequipped this year, which is normally late spring, early summer. I don't have a date for it just yet. And do the British Classic this year. I'm hoping to total something in the mid 700s in the 105s. I'm looking to compete as a light 105 this year, so hopefully be around 95 or 97 kilos. Just give me some chance to grow into the weight class. Last time I was at 105, I was cutting 105 and it was fat. It wasn't great. So hopefully put up a PB total as a light 105 this year. As regards weightlifting or strongman, I don't really have any plans to compete with them in the future. I might do a few meets for a bit of fun, but not really looking to take them too seriously unless I was going to consider a change of sport. Second question from Harrison. My right knee is kicking in on squats and usually my form is alright. It's only the right knee. Any suggestions? Well, if your form's normally good and you don't collapse inwards normally during the squats, and I know for a fact you're going to be on top of things like rolling mobility, because you're a pretty diligent trainer from reading your log, then it is probably a sign of some underlying pathology in your knee, probably in the form of overuse injury or minor tissue damage. Which is pretty much a fancy way of saying you should take it easy. Take it easy in your squat training and concentrate on quality over quantity for a while and give your knees a chance to heal. And you might want to take, if you're doing like 3 sessions a week intensely, you might want to strip back to 1 or 2 sessions a week and vary the intensity. So 1 and lower the volume. So like a heavier session, a lighter session. You'll also want to include things like more single leg work, more hamstring work, more glute work. Keep on top of your mobility and your foam rolling. But the main thing that's going to help is kind of taking a backseat on squats for a little while until the knee gets better. So pretty much just take a wee break and then build back in your training. I've had similar issues in the past when my knees bowed in during squats. Normally I keep them out. When my form is normally okay. It's normally a sign that I'm doing too much and I have to take a step back and let the knees recover. And I normally include more single leg work. It tends to speed up the recovery, but probably shouldn't take a single leg workout, but I'm lazy, so I do. How do you structure your training over months, years, i.e. do you push a 12-week block for PBs, or do you do smaller blocks and always push for small PBs? It depends, but normally I plan periods of 4 to 8 weeks. I don't normally plan it with that, so I'll just do my programs in like 4-week block, run the blocks, and then based off how that block's gone, I'll plan forward for another 4 weeks. Or if I'm doing a longer program, like 8 to 12 weeks, then I'll run the program. But it's not often I run 2 consecutive 12-week programs. I'll probably move to something else. And I program separately for all my important lifts. So squat, bench, and deadlift training all get their own training methods used in them. For example, at the minute for squat, I'm running Russian Squat Masters, and I'm running linear cycles for both bench and deadlift, 5-week cycles. And depending on how that goes, then I will evaluate and go forward in 8 weeks' time or whenever the programs end. And the only time I plan for longer than 8 weeks would be in the case of build up to meet. So if I got a set date for a meet, it's important meet, I'll normally plan back 10 to 12 weeks, so at least 2 blocks worth of training. I'll have numbers in my head that I want to hit during the meet, and I'll look to hit about 90% or 95% weights for 2 sets of 2 weeks out. So that gives me a heavy week followed by a taper, and then into the meet. So if the meet was in August, I would plan back 8 to 12 weeks, 10 to 12 weeks, including taper. So hopefully that answers your questions. I know we've got more questions on there. I'll maybe touch on them in a later episode. Next question is from Ash Wilesley, made under the comment section of the last episode. Opinions on max out squats every day. I'm doing a 21-day challenge by Nick Horton on the 28th of January after the Scottish Open. I'm just doing it to see what all the fuss is about and if it really works. I've seen and read clean lifters make good gains on it because it's not a true 100% max every day, so they become faster with 90-95%, making their 1 hour rep go up. How do we look at Nick Horton's YouTube channel and website? I wasn't really aware of who it was until I looked him up. Don't want to dwell too much on him, but from watching his videos, he seems pretty American. That is to say, overly enthusiastic for my tastes. A little bit full on, but I watched some of his lifters lifting. It seems legit enough, so I don't really know who the guy is, so I can't really comment on the validity of him as a coach or what his information is like. So I'll leave that to your own critical thinking. Anyway, squatting to some maximal level every day for 21 days, not really a great idea. It will lead to an increased level of strength through improved skill acquisition, volume accumulation, and intense practice at 9% plus weights, which will lead to you getting stronger. However, it's going to increase the likelihood of you getting injured by quite a lot. Even if you're currently squatting 3 times a week at 80% plus, which I'd like to remind you is still a lot of squatting, and you go from that to 21 days of maxing out, so 7 days a week with unstaggered intensity, so you're squatting to pretty much 9% plus every day. It's pretty absurd. As an example, I kind of read into the John Bros craze of 2010, which led to me squatting maximally for 21 days, and then I stopped. The only reason I stopped at 21 days was because I got injured. In return, my squat went from 207 kilos to 222 kilos, which on the face of it is a massive gain in 3 weeks, but I also took up knee issues that I still carry to this day. It took me pretty much the rest of the year to address the knee issues, and about 8 to 9 months to get up to a 230 squat, which is a long time to be trying to recover and get back to gaining strength. There are lots and lots of good programs out there. There's absolutely no need to do something as rash, quite frankly, as stupid as squatting to a max or even a near max 21 days in a row. Simple reason why it might be stupid is unless you're going to maintain that level of training, so you're going to squat maximally or 9% plus every day from now on, for the rest of your training days, or at least for the next 2 to 3 years, you're not going to maintain that level of strength because you're not going to maintain that level of intensity or volume in your training. So unless it's sustainable, then I would not advise you to do it. If you're really hell bent on getting your squat up, then have a look at something else like a Russian squat routine, which is a 6-week program, 3 sessions a week, of staggered intensity and load. It's a really good program. Loads and loads of people get stronger on it. Do that, or have a look at the small up base cycle. Although the points me and Harrison discussed in the comment section still are relevant to that, I think. I would personally advocate something you can do week on, week in, week out, and progress on slowly week on week. And you're going to be able to get better at everything else at the same time. Which, if you're a weightlifter, then you want to get better at snatch and clean and jerk over your squatting. And if you're a powerlifter, then you need to get better at deadlift as well. So neglecting those lifts for an amount of time isn't optimal in my opinion. But if you're hell bent on giving that 21-day squat thing a go, give it a go. But I'm not sold on it. Finally, we're landing on propane fitness. I'm looking for someone to tell me that everything is okay. I can't be that guy for you. Actually, I just watched your push press vid. I freaking loved it. If I were to include it in my training, where would you slot it in? I roughly train on a rotation: A, squat, overhead press, deadlift; B, squat, bench, rows. First of all, thanks very much for the positive feedback. Love hearing feedback from everybody, positive and negative as well. As long as you're not trolls, it's all good. On that rotation, pretty simple to slot it in. Just go overhead press, push press, squat, deadlift. B stays the same, squat, bench, rows. That way you'll be able to fit push press in your video. It's a fairly natural progression from overhead press, as it's just heavier and it takes out the part that would be fatigue at the movement, which would be the bottom half of it anyway. So it's a good way of overloading your lockout and giving your triceps a bit more of a workout after an overhead press session. That concludes episode 5. Any questions or comments, leave them in the comment section below, or leave them on the Propane Fitness thread that I'll leave in the description. And I'll see you next time.